Wait, if you've ever been on a plane, you've seen this little hole. Right there. Tiny, random looking, and it's in every single plane on the planet. All 100,000 flights in the air right now, every single one has this hole. But almost nobody knows what it actually does. But hold on, before I tell you, let me show you just how serious this is. Because this isn't just some random design choice. This isn't an accident. This tiny little hole, about the width of a pencil, is literally keeping you alive at 35,000 feet. I'm not being dramatic. Think about it. When a plane reaches cruising altitude, it's -60 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The air pressure is so low that without protection, a human being loses consciousness in about 15 seconds. 15 seconds! That's faster than it takes to read this out loud. Here's what most people don't know. An airplane window isn't one piece of glass, it's three. The outer pane takes the pressure. That's the workhorse. The middle pane is the backup, the fail-safe, in case the outer one ever cracks. The inner pane? That's just there so you don't scratch the middle one with your elbow. The hole is in the middle pane. Engineers call it a bleed hole. But forget the technical name. Let me explain what it actually does in plain English. Picture two chambers, one outside the plane, brutal cold, almost no pressure. One inside the cabin, warm, normal pressure so people can breathe. Between them, 3 layers of glass. And between the outer and middle pane, there's a tiny pocket of air. Without the hole, the pressure in that pocket would go completely unpredictable. It would compress and expand on every single flight, and eventually, the glass would just fail. The bleed hole fixes this perfectly. It equalizes the pressure between the cabin air and that little pocket between the panes, which means all that insane pressure difference, the full force of 35,000 feet, gets pushed onto the outer pane, the one that was literally engineered to handle it, the one that's been stress tested thousands of times, the one that won't fail. In other words, this hole intentionally makes the middle pane weaker, so the outer pane always stays strong. That's engineering genius in a hole the size of a pencil tip. But wait, that's not even the full story. There's a second thing this hole does that almost nobody talks about. Have you ever noticed that airplane windows almost never fog up? You're on a bus in winter, you can't see anything. The windows are completely steamed. But on a plane at 35,000 feet, crystal clear. Why? Because that same bleed hole vents moisture. The warm, humid air from the cabin could get trapped between the panes and freeze solid. At -60 degrees, that ice would cloud the window, cause microfractures from the temperature swings, and on certain aircraft, actually affect cockpit visibility. The bleed hole lets that moisture escape before it ever becomes a problem. Think about this for a second. A Boeing 737, an Airbus A320, these things weigh 80 tons. The engines are literally the size of your bedroom. There are thousands of sensors, computers, and redundant safety systems. Engineers spent billions of dollars and decades of research making these machines as safe as humanly possible. And one of the most critical safety features on that entire aircraft is a hole. One tiny hole, the size of a pencil tip, that you could make with an ice pick in about 1 second. Sometimes, the most genius solutions are the simplest ones. Next time you're on a flight, find that hole. It's in every window. Put your finger on it, and remember that this tiny little thing you never noticed before is part of the system keeping you alive 6 miles above the Earth. Drop a comment right now. Did you already know about this? Just yes or no. And if you want 5 more everyday things that have secret purposes you never knew about, hit subscribe.